If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and share, it helps the channel out. Let's get in the video. So Xbox Game Studios has grown a lot over the past few years, and now Microsoft and Xbox, they have more games in development right now than pretty much the past two generations combined when it comes to first party. They just have so many studios making a variety of games, and the variety is wider than ever before. And today is going to be the first in a kind of a long-running series of future game videos and future games coming to Xbox from Xbox Game Studios. And really, it's an exciting time to be an Xbox gamer or just someone that likes to game on the Xbox platform. And first up, we have to talk about Halo. Halo's going to come out this year. It's going to be the biggest game for Microsoft. And while this game was pushed back, Microsoft's very receptive to criticism and context now. And the thing is, Microsoft listen. They really do. And they've been listening to all this Halo feedback. And Halo Infinite's going to be the biggest Halo to date. And it's an exciting time because Halo is continuing to evolve over the years. And it just continues to be different and change when it needs to. It doesn't need to be the same game every time. And with it being free to play, the multiplayer, this really will be the biggest Halo game to date. And it's exciting because when it comes to multiplayer, you need a huge player base to play this game for a long time. And it being free to play, fully free to play, makes it a hell of a lot easier for people to jump into. And when it comes to Halo spin-offs, they can continue to make more. Let's talk about Forza. Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon are in development. And the thing is, there's been rumours whether which one will come out first. Well, Forza Motorsport was announced first. And I'm inclined to believe this will release first, despite the fact that we're getting rumours about that. Horizon releasing first, which I don't think will happen. And then we have Fable. Fable, the return of this beloved RPG franchise. And people have been wanting this to return for years after the last cancelled game. But considering this is Playground's RPG team, they're going to do the franchise justice. The initiative making Perfect Dark. Now this is an interesting game because they have developers working from all over around the world. Developers that worked on Red Dead Redemption, God of War, GTA, Tomb Raider, some of the biggest games. And they making this first-person espionage game, and that's just exciting because we don't get a lot of those, and they could have went the safe route and made a cinematic third-person game, but they go in first-person with parkour elements, and it's just going to be interesting because, again, we don't see games like this first-person Perfect Dark almost ever. And it's been a long time since the last game, and I think it's been long enough that Perfect Dark in the new age can pretty much be rebranded itself as a new game. Hellblade. Now, Ninja Theory is an interesting team because they make many different games. They have several different studios making games. They have Project Mara, and they can make action adventures. They can make all sorts of games, and they have Project Mara, Hellblade 2 in development, and also Project Insight, which is going to help towards things like mental health and discussing it and trying to, figure things out about mental health using a video game format. And again, that's interesting. That's new. That's fresh. And their technology is some of the best I've seen when it comes to, video game rendering, when it comes to next generation content. And again, this studio will be one to watch because they may be a small studio, but they can make a wide variety of games. And I have heard rumors that they are making something else besides Hellblade 2, Project Insight, and Project Mara. Now, Project Mara, I want to talk about this because some photos were released recently, and this game is photorealistic unlike anything else, and I've seen people make memes about this, but the point is not them showing pictures of a sink or anything like that. It's the fact that they can have this level of fidelity when it comes to real-time rendering. That's the point. Next up we have Psychonauts. Now, Double Fine are interesting because they make these zany games, and while they do have Psychonauts 2 coming out this year. They also have another game in development, and it's going to be a new IP. Now, a lot of people, including myself, suggest that they should do Banjo-Kazooie. I think they're the best fit for it, but the new IP should be interesting, especially since they also make a wide variety of games too, from platformers to click and point adventures. And I think that's one of the reasons why Microsoft got them, because again, they have range when it comes to their development. Obsidian are interesting because they showed us Avowed last year, and to be fair, that game looks like what we need. A new first-person medieval RPG, super high quality, and it's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. And again, it looks fantastic. The thing about Obsidian is that they're making apparently 6 games in development. So we have Avowed, we have The Outer Worlds 2, and some other games. There have been rumors that there is another first-person RPG and a third-person RPG. Now, the thing that's interesting about Obsidian is that they still have Grounded coming out. Like, Grounded isn't finished; it's not done. And when Grounded is done, it's going to be more overall complete package with a story mode, and that should be coming out later this year. And they continue to put out updates in between. But Obsidian will be one of those studios to watch, because they can come out any day with a new game and show us about this new thing. And that's the benefit of Obsidian. They made of multiple different smaller teams, and they can pump out RPGs with small teams. And that's going to be one of the reasons why they will be one of the biggest studios to watch this year. And when it comes to Outer Worlds 2, they can do a lot more with the sequel, because the first game was a new IP. The sequel, they can go further, they can do a lot more with it. More planets, more areas, maybe more ships, and who knows, maybe have it, more open world when it comes to each planet. They will be interesting to watch, because Obsidian, in my opinion, are one of the top tier RPG developers at the minute. And frankly, if we do see another successor to a KOTOR or a Mass Effect, a spiritual successor, it will come from Obsidian, because they have the talent, the know-how, and pretty much the heart behind it. Because when they talk about RPGs, they mean it. Flight Simulator 2020. Now, this is an interesting one, because we have Flight Simulator 2020 coming to Xbox this summer. It's going to be interesting, because this is going to take advantage of Xbox Series X and S architecture. But the other cool thing is that Microsoft are going to be working with Asobo Games on a new game, which is very cool, because they also made A Plague Tale. A Plague Tale is one of the most passionate third-person adventure games I've ever played. It's set in 13th century France. It's a must-play game, and the fact that they can make things from third-person adventures like A Plague Tale all the way to Flight Simulator shows they have range. And it's one of the reasons why I think they may be one of the reasons why Microsoft want to pick them up in the near future. Just saying. Gears of War. Now, Gears of War 6 is in development. That goes without saying. But after the success of Hive Busters, I wouldn't be too shocked if we start hearing about more smaller sized expansions, because again, people loved Hive Busters. In my opinion, it's one of the best looking next generation things to date. Now, with all these other things, we also have things like Compulsion Games' next game, which is going to be a third person adventure game. We have things like Tango Games, and those are making a new game at the minute. But the whole Bethesda thing's interesting, because they have so many studios that almost every year now we get a big E3 showcase from Bethesda, and now Microsoft own Bethesda, or at least they will this year. But that is the cool part, because that just means more games, and they have studios like Starfield in development by, Bethesda Softworks. And the thing is, they have Starfield, they have Elder Scrolls 6, they have Wolfenstein 3. Machine Games is going to be an interesting one to talk about, because the thing is, Microsoft have so many games in development. It's kind of crazy, because, they have like Doom Eternal's out in the wild, but we're still going to get a single player expansion, another expansion for that apparently. And it's just so much content. But there's also Arcane, who are making Death Proof. And the thing is that the Arcane can make very good, how shall I put it, survival sims, and they can make more. They are on making another game. And the thing is, I keep saying the word interesting because Microsoft have never had this many studios before. They've never had this amount of IP before. And they've never had this many household known IP. You know, the Elder Scrolls 6. And I want to talk about Elder Scrolls for a minute because the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a while away. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only Elder Scrolls we're getting. We still have more Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Blades is still going to come to console, apparently. Who knows what that's going to turn into. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a next generation upgrade for Skyrim. Not making people buy it again because, you know, there is a meme about Skyrim being ported to everything. I get that. But I think there has been rumours of a Evil Within 3. I think the developers want to do that. And especially with Microsoft backing and needing more games like that in Game Pass, I do believe we will see a Evil Within 3 within the next 2 years. Indiana Jones. Now let's talk about Indiana Jones. Now, Machine Games are one of my favourite developers. You know, Wolfenstein 3 is coming. Pete Hines has pretty much said it on Twitter. But Indiana Jones is a beloved household name because there's some of the most influential films of all time. But Machine Games make first-person shooters. So I'm not going to go out and say this is going to be an Uncharted-style game and a Tomb Raider-style game or a first-person adventure game. I'm just saying that Machine Games was one of the best-known IPs in the world. They're going to do the series justice. And Todd Howard's behind the helm. And Todd Howard is a huge fan. Again, when it comes to all these games, like Microsoft are continuing to put out content. And this year, we have the new Series X and Series S consoles. And while all the consoles will still be supported with some games, not every game will be. But things like Perfect Dark, Avowed, Psychonauts 2, future Gears games. And then they have the partnered games as well, because Gears Tactics was successful on PC from what I hear. And we're probably going to see another Gears spin-off in the future. It's just that they're working with so many different studios, and then they have so many exclusive games, or even timed exclusive games like Crossfire X coming to Xbox for, I think it's about a year. But either way, Microsoft has a lot of content coming to consoles and PC, and whether you want a game on mobile, phone, or PC, you're set. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, please hit like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. I have a series of videos of this dropping, so there will be future episodes, and just look out for them in the future. I have more content coming early on next week. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the video. Everyone have a good weekend. I'm out.